Part 44. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 431. Wang Feng had no intention of interfering with the decision of Zhao Ying and those people, let alone participating. Although Wang Feng still had respect for Zhao Ying and those people who were ready to save people, it was only Fang Xiaoun who made the mistake. Wang Feng did not. Although he was angry with them, at least Wang Feng still admired the courage of those 3,000 people. They have the shadow of the guardian warriors on their bodies. Wang Feng knows that if the person arrested is him, the guardian warriors will do the same thing as them without hesitation, no matter Wang Feng is right or wrong, because they can have today. It can be said that it is basically all because of Wang Feng. Therefore, even if Wang Feng is really a murderous demon, they will never abandon him and will fight to the death. But Wang Feng will never do something as mindless as Fang Xiaoun, and he will never stop these people from dying because of their blood and loyalty. This is their own choice and has nothing to do with others. Again, there is no right or wrong, only positions. From their standpoint, they are right, and from Wang Feng's standpoint, Wang Feng is not wrong either. The Guardian army automatically made way for Zhao Ying to lead their people through, and at Wang Feng's signal, the Guardian soldiers lined up on both sides of the statue. Wang Feng would not let his brothers standing in front facing the enemy while hiding behind them to command. He is a general, not a commander-in-chief. The commander can command the battle behind the army, but the general should take the lead in charging into the battle. This is how Wang Feng defines himself. As long as the battle continues, he must not fall behind. It is precisely because of this that he brought out the Guardian Legion. Such a brave warrior who is not afraid of death must not give all the credit to Li Yingning. Seeing Zhao Ying leading more than 3,000 people to stand in front of him instead of the Guardian warriors, the Devourers didn't pay attention at all. Moreover, if Zhao Ying and the others were purely based on their numbers, they were actually not much less than the Guardian Legion. The Guardian Legion, including the newly joined defensive warriors, has less than 4,000 people, and Zhao Ying and the others now have 3,200 or 3,000 people. Can you let Yunyun go? After getting close to the Devourers, Zhao Ying looked at the Devourers in front of him and asked in a pleading tone, "Sir number 5. Yunyun has always respected you, this great person. No matter what, you should spare her life because she is so obedient. She came out to approach you just to warn you. They also said just now that if Yunyun hadn't warned you, they were sure to kill you all after dark without losing anyone. Yunyun was worried about your safety and did this to save you. Ah! You let Yunyun go, we are willing to join you. After all, we are also human beings and are the masters of this planet. We are familiar with this place. We can take you to other places to find humans and use them as your food. We can help no matter what you do. I will always treat Yunyun as my daughter. I beg you, just let Yunyun go and don't kill her. You can do whatever you want." Hearing Zhao Ying's words, Wang Feng sighed inwardly. He was not even angry because Zhao Ying told Devourer what he had just said, because Zhao Ying said that she treated Fang Xiaoun as a daughter. A mother would do anything for her daughter. No matter what you do, it cannot be said to be excessive. Fang Xiaoun is undoubtedly lucky, because she has a mother who treats her so well. Although she is not her biological child, even if she is her biological child, maybe she can do this, right? Because Zhao Ying has basically performed the role of mother to the extreme. But for Zhao Ying, having a daughter like Fang Xiaoun is undoubtedly her misfortune. According to Zhao Ying's experience, as well as her sophisticated way of dealing with things, plus her identity as an awakened person, it can be said that in this apocalypse, she can live a good life wherever she goes. Wang Feng is even sure that if Fang Xiaoun and Zhao Ying don't join the Hope Base, it won't be long before she can rely on her own abilities to become a core member. But now, for Fang Xiaoun, she is actually willing to become the lackey of aliens and help them deal with her own kind. With her IQ, it is not difficult to imagine that when these devourers conquer the entire planet, their ending will still be the same. But now she deliberately ignores these and agrees to everything, just to save Fang Xiaoun. Perhaps, this is the price she has to pay for her mistakes. Fang Xiaoun is so willful and unruly, and she is doting on her. It cannot be separated. When the devourers heard Zhao Ying's words, they all laughed. They are not human beings and do not understand human emotions, so they are not as emotional as Wang Feng. They just find it funny. First of all, they did not believe that more than 100 of them would be wiped out in a sneak attack by Wang Feng and the others. Since the distance was now very close, these devourers had certainly felt the strength of Wang Feng and the others. Wang Feng alone has reached the level of 5th level creatures, and all the others are at the level of 4th level creatures. It is a miracle that such a weak team can kill the 4 of them. Maybe it's because they successfully attacked number 1 and others that they thought they could kill themselves with the same sneak attack as they did against number 1, right? Secondly, with the strength of people like Zhao Ying, only less than 2 digits have reached the standard of 4th level creatures. The others are 2nd or 3rd level creatures. Even they dare to say that they are doing him a favor. Moreover, to the devourers, they are food. For a group of food to actually say that they want to join them is simply sick and arrogant to the point of no end. Are you telling the truth? Number 7 looked at Fang Xiaoun, who was still in his hands, and then at Zhao Ying. As long as I don't kill her, you can do anything I ask you to do. Even if it's to serve as food for us, is that okay? Zhao Ying's eyes lit up, thinking that number 7 was going to let Fang Xiaoun go, so she nodded quickly and said, yes. I am willing. Otherwise, I will bring her over now, and you can eat me. When Fang Xiaoun heard Zhao Ying's words, her eyes widened. She didn't expect that Zhao Ying could do this for her. Tears rolled down her eyes. However, due to the fear of death in her heart, although she opened her mouth, in the end, he still didn't say any words of rejection. Fang Xiaoun's performance was noticed by Zhao Ying. His expression was a little sad, but he still looked at devourer number 7 firmly. As long as number 7 is willing to agree, Zhao Ying will run over without hesitation and exchange himself for Fang Xiaoun. However, it seems that number 7 does not have that intention. He looked at Fang Xiaoun, then at Zhao Ying, and shook his head. Said, forget it. It's more of a loss for me this way, because you're not as stupid as this human being. Hearing No 7's words, Zhao Ying couldn't help but be stunned. Why do you mean that he is not as stupid as Fang Xiaoun? Of course she is smarter than Fang Xiaoun. In fact, she also thinks that what Fang Xiaoun does is a bit stupid. However, because Zhao Ying regards Fang Xiaoun as her own child, no matter how stupid her child does, she can always find the shining point in it. This is the mother's heart. But why is he smarter than Fang Xiaoun? Could it be that they are smarter and don't like eating it? Zhao Ying couldn't help but wonder. She couldn't lip read, so she didn't know the conversation between the devourers just now, so she didn't understand. In fact, what number 7 said was that Zhao Ying was not as beautiful as Fang Xiaoun. However, no matter whether he thought it through or not, Zhao Ying was wholeheartedly planning to exchange Fang Xiaoun back with himself, and even began to belittle himself. Since you like to eat stupid things, then I will pretend to be stupid, right? Thinking of this, Zhao Ying looked at number 7 and said, no. Sir, you are wrong, you don't understand us at all. In fact, Yunyun is very smart, and I am much more stupid than Yunyun. Ah, hearing Zhao Ying's words, number 7 was stunned, and then turned to look at number 5 beside him. Didn't you say that the humans on this planet are all modest? Isn't that right? Why is this woman so shameless and looks like this? How dare you call yourself a fool when you're ugly? Yeah, number 5 suppressed his laughter and nodded solemnly, it's really shameless. The conversation between the two devourers made Zhao Ying stunned again. Is it a boast that I call myself a fool? Still shameless? What the hell is going on? Zhao Ying felt quite uncomfortable now, but Fang Xiaoun was still in their hands, and she didn't dare to say anything, so she could only look at them blankly. Fang Xiaoun knew the reason, but how could she be in the mood to explain this to Zhao Ying now? Besides, she was still being captured by the devourer. Once the truth was told, who knew which one of number 7 and number 5 would suddenly get angry and kill her directly? So Fang Xiaoun just watched what happened on the field in fear and did not dare to speak at all. I said, it's almost dark, hurry up, right? At this time, a devourer behind number 7 couldn't help it anymore, and urged, although his number is lower, it does not mean that his status is higher than numbers 7 and 5 are low. After all, they, devourers, are all predators, and none of the devourer elites exist. Okay, number 5 looked up at the sky and agreed casually, actually, I want to wait until dark to let that arrogant boy know that I am not the idiot number 1. Even if it is dark, they are not the same opponent, food is food, you have to be aware of food. What are you talking about? How can I be considered an idiot with the way number 1 looks like? Before Zhao Ying could plead again, number 7 looked at number 5 with a surprised look on his face. What do you think of me? Number 5 knew that he had made a slip of the tongue, and couldn't help but cough twice in embarrassment, then waved his hands and said, let's not talk about this for now, let's get to work. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 432. After hearing what number 5 said, number 7 stopped pursuing the idiot's question for the time being. He turned to look at Zhao Ying and smiled, then said, okay. I won't kill her, and I don't need you to replace her. However, you have to listen to my orders. Do whatever I tell you. Okay. Definitely, Zhao Ying was overjoyed and nodded in agreement, thank you. What do you want us to do? Number 7 smiled sinisterly, pointed at Wang Feng behind Zhao Ying and said, I want you to kill them. Zhao Ying was stunned for a moment, then looked back at Wang Feng, hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and agreed, okay. But sir, their strength is much stronger than ours. We alone cannot defeat them. I hope your lord they can help us. There's no problem with this. When you can't support it, we will take action. After all, you are now considered a group of us. If you are easily killed by other humans, we will not have any glory, number 7 said carelessly. Responded. Okay. I hope you won't break your promise. Zhao Ying bowed to number 7 and the others, and then looked at Fang Xiaoun, who was looking at him with tears in her eyes and a panic-stricken look on her face. She suddenly turned around and fired the spear in her hand. Pointing at Wang Feng, brothers. Kill. Seeing that Zhao Ying finally decided to betray humanity for Fang Xiaoun and was willing to become the devourer's lackey, Wang Feng shook his head sadly, and then uttered 4 words, prepare to attack. Don't hold back. These 4 words, don't hold back, are meant for Zhao Ying and the others, because when facing the devourer, without Wang Feng's instructions, the guardian warriors will never hold back at all, but for people like Zhao Ying and others, because he is a human being after all, if Wang Feng didn't say anything, it might be a little difficult for the guardian warrior to decide. Wang Feng admired these people who were willing to follow Zhao Ying. Even though Zhao Ying had promised to betray humanity, these people still did not leave Zhao Ying and still chose to stand behind her. This made Wang Feng a little envious. He established when he was at the Hope Base, his stated goal was to continue human civilization, and he has always done so. But Wang Feng himself didn't know that if one day he really betrayed humanity, would these guardian warriors be like the people standing behind Zhao Ying and still never abandon him? What Wang Feng never expected was that the day he was imagining in his mind would finally become a reality. Just when Zhao Ying was waving his spear and was about to rush towards Wang Feng, and Wang Feng was about to summon Tiankai, Fang Xiaoun in No 7's hand suddenly let out a shrill scream. The two sides about to fight were immediately interrupted by the scream. Looked at Fang Xiaoun. The moment Zhao Ying turned around, his expression suddenly changed and he exclaimed. Even Wang Feng, who was still angry towards Fang Xiaoun in his heart, couldn't help but frowned when he saw Fang Xiaoun's miserable state. Needless to say, those Cat City survivors standing behind Zhao Ying. At this time, Zhao Ying and Wang Feng, who had become enemies, no longer needed to continue fighting, because Fang Xiaoun was the reason for their fighting, and now, anyone can see that this reason no longer exists. Devourer number 7 had already put Fang Xiaoun down at this time, and then grabbed her neck with one hand to prevent her from falling, while the other hand was pressed against her back, with an intoxicated look on his face, as if enjoying something. Fang Xiaoun's expression was in huge contrast with his, and they were completely two extremes. If Devourer No 7's expression was like a feeling of floating in the clouds, with a desire to die, then Fang Xiaoun's expression at this time, his expression was that of falling into the Azura hell, enduring endless pain. Her expression was quite terrifying at this time, her face was extremely distorted, her whole body was twitching, and not a trace of black could be seen in her eyes, which were completely filled with blood, even more terrifying than the eyes of the Devourer. The most chilling thing is that her face is getting older at an extremely fast speed, as if she has gone through the long journey of a human life in an instant. Just when her screams started to sound, everyone's eyes were focused on her. At that time, although her face had become extremely distorted, it could still be seen that she had a young face. And in just a few breaths, Fang Xiaoun's face has become extremely old. She looks like a 100-year-old woman, with wrinkles all over her face. If they hadn't seen her aging process with their own eyes, no one would believe it. The old woman, who was aging and dying, turned out to be the pitiful beautiful girl just now, with a look of fear and pleading on her face. Yun Yun, Zhao Ying let out a heart-rending cry, then ducked down and rushed towards number 7 regardless of his life. But at this moment, number 7 threw Fang Xiaoun's old body directly to Zhao Ying. Zhao Ying quickly caught Fang Xiaoun and looked at the old woman in his arms with disbelief. Tears rolled down his face. He wanted to reach out and touch her face, but he didn't dare. He just choked in his mouth and said, Yun Yun. Are you okay? Everyone knows that Fang Xiaoun is not good, and very bad. Although she was still breathing when she was thrown over, the blood-red color in her eyes also receded, turning into the slightly cloudy eyeballs unique to the elderly. But everyone can see that her vitality has been completely exhausted and she can't hold on much longer. Ying, Sister Ying. It hurt so much just now. Fang Xiaoun's voice remained unchanged, but she looked quite weak. Now, it hurts so much now. It's okay. Yun. Everything has passed. It will be fine soon. Be obedient, Zhao Ying comforted Fang Xiaoun with tears in her eyes. She also knew that everything she said would soon become a fact. For Fang Xiaoun, she said that everything was indeed over, and soon she would no longer have to struggle in this dark apocalypse. Perhaps Fang Xiaoun's character is indeed not suitable for survival in this apocalyptic world. She is too willful and self-centered. She does everything based on her own preferences. Now, she has finally done something wrong, but the price she has to bear is also it's really too cruel. Sister Ying. You said, you treat me, as your daughter, is it true? Fang Xiaoun asked weakly. At the same time, she tried her best to reach out and touch Zhao Ying's face, but when she stretched out her hand after that, he was shocked to find that his hand was a dry, wrinkled hand, not at all the tender and white skin that he had before. Fang Xiaoun's breathing suddenly became rapid. Sister Ying. My hand, what's wrong with my hand? After saying that, she wanted to touch her face with her hand, but was directly blocked by Zhao Ying. He grabbed her hand, looked at her lovingly, and said softly. It's okay, Yun Yun. You just look a few years older. It's okay. You will recover soon. You will be fine soon. Sister Ying, you don't have to lie to me. I know my own body well. I don't have a few minutes to live. As if reflecting on the past, Fang Xiaoyun's voice suddenly became very coherent. Give me a mirror, my pocket it's inside, take it out and show it to me, Sister Ying, please grant me this last wish. Yun Yun, Zhao Ying shook his head, don't look at it, just pretend that you are still the same as a few minutes ago, okay? No. Show me. Sister Ying, Fang Xiaoyun cried and said, I can't see it, and I won't be willing to die. Looking at the stubborn look in Fang Xiaoyun's confused eyes, Zhao Ying lowered his head. Then, he took out a mirror from the pocket of Fang Xiaoyun's black leather jacket and slowly raised it in front of Fang Xiaoyun. To everyone's surprise, however, when Fang Xiaoyun saw her old face, she seemed very calm, but there were big drops of tears pouring out crazily in her eyes. After looking at it carefully for a few times, Fang Xiaoyun gently let go of her palm and let the mirror fall on her body, because this girl who loves beauty no longer needs it from this moment on. Sister Ying. You haven't answered my question just yet. I may look older than your mother now that I am like this. Will you still think of me as your daughter? Fang Xiaoyun looked at her again. Zhao Ying asked softly. Of course. No matter what you become, I will treat you as my daughter. Zhao Ying gently held Fang Xiaoyun in her arms and replied with a trembling voice. Thank you, Mom. Fang Xiaoyun suddenly called Zhao Ying mother with a cry. When he heard this word, Zhao Ying couldn't help it anymore, hugged Fang Xiaoyun tightly, and cried loudly. With infinite grievances and comforts. Wang Feng closed his eyes and lowered his head. Originally, while he was looking at Zhao Ying and Fang Xiaoyun, he was also wary of the Devourers, guarding against their sudden attack. But for some reason, it seemed that these Devourers suddenly came to take a look. In the mood of the drama, he was quietly watching the scene in front of him with a calm expression, regardless of the fact that the sky was getting darker and darker now. When he heard Fang Xiaoyun calling her mother and Zhao Ying's cry full of grievance, Wang Feng was also deeply touched. He still doesn't know whether his choice just now was right or wrong, but, even if he is given another chance to choose, Wang Feng will still not change himself. Mom, Fang Xiaoyun may have felt that her time was running out, so she interrupted Zhao Ying's crying. Can you agree to Yun Yun's first and last request to her mother? Hearing Fang Xiaoyun's words, Zhao Ying reluctantly held back her crying, gently let go of Fang Xiaoyun, looked into her eyes, and said firmly, Yun Yun. If you have any request, just say it. No matter what it is, Mom will definitely promise you and do her best. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 433. Looking at Fang Xiaoyun's old face, Zhao Ying could guess what her last request was. In fact, it was not difficult to guess. At that time, she was asked to kill those Devourers, because it was those Devourers that made Fang Xiaoyun what she is now, so her request must be this. Because she guessed her request, Zhao Ying's answer was to try her best, but she did not say that she would definitely do it, because she knew that if she went to kill those Devourers, even if there were more than 3,000 people willing to help her, there would be no hope at all, but she would just die. But now Fang Xiaoyun was about to die. Once Fang Xiaoyun died, her last spiritual support in this world would be gone. Death was simply a relief for Zhao Ying, and Zhao Ying did not feel any nostalgia. Hearing Fang Xiaoyun's words, all eyes in the field were focused on her. Although everyone basically guessed Fang Xiaoyun's request, they still all looked at her. Swoosh, suddenly, with two soft sounds, Devourer number 7, who had been watching the excitement, suddenly threw out two small balls. The guards who had been on guard immediately tensed up and prepared to attack. Even Wang Feng immediately raised his head and looked at the devourers. However, the two small balls were not thrown at them, but into the air. Then, without any support, they just floated in the air and kept spinning. Then, the originally dim environment suddenly shone brightly, illuminating the entire inner city almost like daylight. It turned out that the two small balls were the devourers' lighting tools. No wonder these devourers, though they have no night vision, have been watching quietly beside them, not caring at all about the darkening sky. It turns out that they actually have such powerful lighting tools. When the two balls lit up, even Apocalypse was surprised and muttered softly, "Huh? When did devourers have such lighting tools?" Wang Fen knew that Apocalypse was explaining to him that he didn't know devourers had such lighting tools before, but now Wang Fen didn't have time to pay attention to Apocalypse, but looked at devourers vigilantly. These guys threw out lighting tools, which meant they were ready to take action. However, the devourers didn't have any intention of taking action. After throwing out the two balls, there was no follow-up action, as if they felt that the light was too dim, so they couldn't see the scene in front of them that was relatively new to them. Zhao Ying paid no attention to the sudden light around her. She was still looking at Fang Xiaoun, waiting for her request. Fang Xiaoun turned her head with difficulty to look at Devourer number 7. When her eyes met Devourer number 7 actually smiled and licked his lips, as if he was savoring the delicious food he had just enjoyed. After retracting her gaze, Fang Xiaoun looked at Zhao Ying again, took a breath, and said softly, "Mom. Can you help Yunyun kill someone?" "Okay. Mom promises you." Zhao Ying got the answer she expected, so she nodded heavily, and then looked at Devourer number 7. The more than 3,000 survivors around Zhao Ying also showed their weapons together, staring at the devourers, especially number 7 who turned Fang Xiaoun into this. Although they knew they were no match for him and were just going to die, they all had the courage to follow Zhao Ying before, not to mention what happened just now. Now, each of them has become a fearless warrior. Even if they can't beat him, I can still shed blood on you. No. Not him. Seeing Zhao Ying looking at Devourer number 7, Fang Xiaoun shook her head and said softly, "Mom. The person I asked you to kill is not this Devourer." Then, Fang Xiaoun raised her arm with force, pointed a finger at Wang Feng, and said with infinite hatred, "Mom. Help me kill this guy." Ah, Wang Feng was stunned. He never thought that the person Fang Xiaoun wanted to kill was actually himself. Wrong. No matter what, I am at most a person who does not help others, not to mention that you, girl, fell into the trap in order to destroy my plan before, and ran to the devourer and was caught. Moreover, it was number 7 who turned you into this. What does it have to do with me? Wang Fen now felt that he had no idea what was going on with him. He was even more hated than the devourer. Fang Xiaoun's words also surprised everyone present. Even Devourer number 7, who had already identified himself as the devourer, was shocked. He turned his head to look at number 5 beside him, pointed at his nose, and asked angrily, "What? It's not me? How am I worse than that kid?" Wang Feng, who was already depressed, almost vomited blood when he heard No 7's words. "Who wants to snatch it from you? You take it if you want." Zhao Ying also felt surprised. After a moment of daze, he asked in surprise, "Yunyun. Are you talking about Wang Feng?" Now Zhao Ying was wondering if Fang Xiaoun's mind was a little unclear, or if her eyes were like those of an old person, and she couldn't see clearly, so she pointed at the wrong person, so she directly called out Wang Feng's name. "Yes. That's right. It's him," Fang Xiaoun said through gritted teeth. "If it weren't for him, how could I be like this? If it weren't for him, these devourers wouldn't have attacked us at all, just because they came, so the devourers thought we were collaborating with them to harm them, so they attacked us. Mom. Do you remember? How nice those 5 adults were to us when they first came here. Not only did they help us kill all the zombies in Cat City, but they also built such a beautiful and strong defensive wall. And then he invited us here, where I lived the most glorious time in the last days. Fang Xiaoun looked at the dark sky, as if recalling the days when she just moved to Cat City, and murmured, those days, although short, we had crops, high walls, safety and security. Living in luxurious buildings and villas, and not seeing any zombies at all in those days, I thought I was back before the end of the world. Speaking of this, Fang Xiaoun turned to look at Wang Feng with great effort, with endless hatred in her eyes, and said through gritted teeth, it's because of him that everything changed after he came. On the first day, he killed us. Many people killed 4 adults. Of course the remaining one, number 5, thought we had deceived him and it was all Wang Feng's fault. So, mother. You kill him. You kill him. Okay. Mom. By the end, Fang Xiaoun was screaming hysterically. Okay. 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 Seeing that Fang Xiaoun was getting very excited, Zhao Ying quickly agreed, Mom promises you, Mom promises you. After hearing Zhao Ying's words, Fang Xiaoun calmed down, looked into Zhao Ying's eyes, and smiled softly, thank you, Mom, Mom. When she said the last word, Fang Xiaoun's voice had already it was almost inaudible, and then his eyes dimmed, his head tilted back, and he remained silent ever since. The hysterical venting just now finally consumed Fang Xiaoun's remaining vitality, making her truly and forever quiet, and no longer had to worry about making mistakes. Zhao Jing saw Fang Xiaoun's death, but surprisingly she didn't cry. She just looked at her quietly for a while, then got up, dug a hole on the spot, buried Fang Xiaoun's body, and erected a wooden board as a tombstone. A few words were engraved on it, the tomb of my beloved daughter Fang Xiaoun. Mother Zhao Jing died in tears. While Zhao Jing was doing all this, she didn't ask anyone for help, and everyone present didn't bother her. They all stood there and watched quietly. Only the devourers, watching, they were communicating in a low voice, as if they were observing and recording human habits, and they didn't know what their purpose was. Wang Feng also watched quietly, feeling very emotional in his heart. Although he was only in his early 20s now, similar in age to Fang Xiaoun, Wang Feng's mind was now much more mature than Fang Xiaoun's. Fang Xiaoun is a typical person who has never taken any responsibility since she was a child. No matter what mistakes she makes, adults will have reasons to explain them to her. Over time, Fang Xiaoun becomes a person who cannot accept any criticism at all. For any mistakes, she would find excuses and blame them on others, no matter whether it was reasonable or not. Therefore, at the last moment of her life, the person she hated was not Devourer number 7 who killed her with his own hands, but Wang Feng, because she put all the faults on Wang Feng, although she also knew, she should hate the Devourer, but in that case, she would prove herself wrong. In order to prevent herself from making mistakes, the person she wants to kill can only be Wang Feng, and it must be Wang Feng. In this way, she can insist that she is right. All the bad luck was brought to her by Wang Feng. Although this statement is far-fetched, as long as she believes it, she can convince herself that her life will still be a life without any mistakes. After Zhao Jing buried Fang Xiaoun silently, she took one last look at the new grave. Then, she picked up her spear, walked to those who followed her, bowed to them, and then said, "Thank you for your loyalty and trust in me. You have just returned me what I helped you with. Now, we don't owe each other anything. I will complete the things I promised Yunyun myself. No one of you should interfere. It's a mother's request. Thank you." After saying this, Zhao Ying pointed his spear at Wang Feng and shouted loudly, "Wang Feng, I want to fulfill my promise to my daughter, so Come on. Fight to the death. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 434. After hearing what Zhao Ying said, the people who had been following Zhao Ying looked at each other, then looked at the devourer who had been watching, and then looked at Wang Feng and his guardian corps. Finally, they all stepped aside and did not intend to intervene in this matter. They now knew that Wang Feng was actually right. He originally wanted to help them and wanted them to leave the battlefield in advance. However, because of Fang Xiaoyun's distrust, they did not leave the battlefield in time and stay away from this place of right and wrong. Fang Xiaoyun's suspicion not only killed herself, but also put all 60,000 people in danger. If Fang Xiaoyun's last wish was to kill number 7, then these people would never withdraw no matter how Zhao Ying asked. It can be said that from the moment they first stood in front of Zhao Ying, they had no intention of living anymore, so death would never scare them. But now Fang Xiaoyun's last wish is to kill Wang Feng. They are not Fang Xiaoyun, so they naturally know that the whole thing is due to their suspicion, which led to the current situation. They failed to trick others, but died, and pushed all the faults on others, as if he was so guilty of not being honest and tricking himself. They still can't bring themselves to do such things, so since Zhao Ying said that they have paid back what they owe Zhao Ying, they no longer insist and choose to withdraw from the battle. They did not dissuade Zhao Ying, because from Zhao Ying's eyes, they have seen the determination to die and know that the ending is irreversible. Wang Feng was also looking at Zhao Ying at this time. Zhao Ying wanted to fight with him, which was not beyond Wang Feng's expectation. As early as Zhao Ying's beginning, when she didn't know who Fang Xiaoyun asked her to kill, she agreed at once. Wang Feng knew that this woman didn't want to live. But surprisingly, Wang Feng didn't expect that Fang Xiaoyun's target was not number 7, but himself. After sighing in his heart, Wang Feng waved his hand to summon Apocalypse, pointing at Zhao Ying. He didn't say anything, because he also saw Zhao Ying's expression, and understood that perhaps for Zhao Ying now, death is really just a kind of relief, and for her, living is a more difficult thing. Seeing Wang Feng show Apocalypse, the other guardian warriors did not intend to join the battle. This battle between Zhao Ying and Wang Feng, moreover, in the eyes of the guardian warriors, 100 Zhao Yings are not Wang Feng's opponents. Now Zhao Ying is just seeking death. Death under Wang Feng's apocalypse is at least much better than dying in the hands of the devourer, right? Seeing Wang Feng showing his weapon, Zhao Ying smiled sadly, then leaped up to Wang Feng. The spear in his hand created countless gunflowers, like the Yangtze River covering Wang Feng. Wang Feng did not dodge, but went straight to meet him, and the apocalypse in his hand slashed out, and suddenly a series of ding 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 sounds rang out. What surprised Wang Feng was that the spear in Zhao Ying's hand was made of unknown material, but in the confrontation with Apocalypse, he was not at all inferior. However, although Zhao Ying's spear skills were good, she had no intention of killing Wang Feng in her heart. Therefore, although her spear moves were sharp, they lacked a bit of killing intent, and the power was naturally greatly reduced. In addition, she was not Wang Feng's opponent in the first place, so the outcome of this battle was actually already determined. Wang Feng did not hold back. After using Tiankai to block Zhao Ying's first round of attacks, he suddenly rushed forward. Then, the cold light of Tiankai in his hand flashed and pierced Zhao Ying's heart. The two figures suddenly stopped and stood face to face in the field. Zhao Ying's spear was still pointing diagonally to the sky, while Tiankai in Wang Feng's hand had already pierced Zhao Ying's body. "Thank you." "Sorry." Zhao Ying looked at Wang Feng, suddenly smiled, and said softly, "I never thought that one day, when someone killed me, I actually said thank you to him, but thank you so much, I can finally go to see that bastard. I feel so much anticipation." Watching Zhao Ying's eyes gradually dim, Wang Feng sighed in his heart. He felt a little sorry for Zhao Ying's death, but he had no ability and no time to change Zhao Ying's mind. He could only use this method to fulfill Zhao Ying's wish. Among Zhao Ying's followers, a middle-aged strong man walked out and came to the dead Zhao Ying. Seeing this strong man, Wang Feng gently pulled out Tiankai. Zhao Ying, who lost his support, slowly fell backwards and fell into the arms of the middle-aged strong man. The middle-aged strong man looked at Wang Feng expressionlessly, and then hugged Zhao Ying and returned to his team. Wang Feng took a deep breath and turned his gaze to the devourers who were watching the fun on the side. Endless murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and he said in a cold tone, "Now, it's your turn to go on stage, right?" Alas! What a bummer. I thought I could see a fight between you two. Number 5 shook his head with regret. Boring. But it's good this way, you can help us save some food. After that, Number 5 waved his hand and said to the devourers behind him, "Okay. It's our turn, let's go together. Remember, try to kill as few as possible, these humans are our food in the future, don't eat too much at once." The guardian warriors, after Wang Feng said that, were ready for battle. Behind Wang Feng, a semicircular formation was formed, and the supernatural powers in their bodies condensed and they chose their targets. Everyone, pay attention. Don't save your energy. Go all out and try to get rid of these enemies in the shortest possible time, Lu Feng shouted at the guardian warriors. In fact, even if he didn't say it, these guardian warriors also understood that they had to get rid of these enemies as soon as possible. They couldn't use these devourers to practice like they did with Number 1 and his friends before. The shortest time? I'll let you know what you should do as food. Hearing Lu Feng's words, Number 7 was furious and pointed at Lu Feng and cursed. Then he rushed forward and rushed towards Wang Feng. After Number 7 started attacking, other devourers also rushed forward and rushed towards the guardian warriors on the opposite side. Although Number 5 stated in advance that he would kill less, for these devourers, eating themselves first was the most important thing. At the same time as the devourers rushed over, the guard corps also started to attack. Their formation quickly dispersed, and they started to attack in groups of 3. The devourers didn't take these guardians seriously. In their opinion, these guardians who had only reached the level of level 4 creatures were not dangerous to them at all. They were just having a buffet first. When Number 7 rushed out, Number 5 followed him and rushed towards Wang Feng, because they could feel that Wang Feng had also reached the level of level 5 creatures like them. With Number 7 alone, they might not be able to take down Wang Feng. After all, although they were also level 5 creatures, their strength was discounted. As soon as the Guardians' formation began to disperse, the Devourers also dispersed and rushed towards the food they had chosen, ready to start their own dinner. However, the Guardians immediately used their attacks to let these Devourers understand that sometimes, the roles of prey and hunter are not fixed, but can be switched at any time. Because they didn't take the Guardian Warriors seriously at all, and because they were eager for food, these Devourers didn't unite together, but fought on their own and rushed towards the prey they had set their eyes on. The Guardian Warriors were in groups of 3, and each team chose a target and attacked the Devourers. Because they had fought with the Devourers before, these Guardian Warriors were already familiar with the Devourers' fighting methods. In addition, the Devourers looked down on them, so in the first round of contact, the Guardian Warriors dealt a heavy blow to the Devourers. Because 20 Devourers were left on the periphery to prevent the survivors of Cat City from escaping, there were only more than 80 Devourers attacking the Guardian Warriors. Even if 10 groups of Guardian Warriors were fighting against one Devourer, these Devourers were not enough for the Guardian Warriors to share, so some Guardian Warriors without a target turned around and rushed towards the Devourers on the periphery. As soon as the Devourers who rushed into the Guardian Warriors' camp were attacked by the Guardian Warriors, they found something wrong. Because this time Lu Feng's order was to resolve the battle as soon as possible, the Guardian Warriors did not choose the previous method of saving physical strength, but used the fighting method that Wang Feng gave them at the beginning, that is, no longer making preliminary interference, splitting the Devourer's body, and then killing the devourer. Directly mobilize all the energy in the body, condense it directly into flame power, and then maximize the output instantly. This is the Guardian Warrior's understanding of Lu Feng's order. Therefore, each of the devourers who rushed into the Guardian Warriors was immediately surrounded by groups of flames. Each devourer was attacked by more than 20 fire awakeners. Although these devourers, after being attacked, immediately understood that these level 4 creatures were all fire powerhouses, they just restrained themselves and took action immediately. They began to dodge and prepared to withdraw first to avoid this wave of attacks. But how could the Guardian Warriors, who had already exposed their attributes, let these devourers escape so easily? When they just started to dodge, the newly joined defensive awakeners rushed forward to intercept these devourers. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 435. Because those fire-related abilities are emitted by the life energy condensed in the Guardian Warriors' bodies, they are not like bullets that cannot be controlled after being fired. The Guardian Warriors who fired the fireballs can still control the direction of the fireballs through their mental power. Therefore, those Guardian Warriors who rushed up to intercept the devourers do not have to worry about being accidentally injured by their brothers. As for those devourers, they were more miserable. Within a few breaths of contact with the Guardian Warriors, the devourers lost most of their personnel. They were all careless. After approaching the Guardian Warriors, they jumped up and pounced directly on the Guardian Warriors. After they jumped up, countless fireballs emerged from the Guardian Warriors and flew towards the devourers. As they were in mid-air, the devourers had no chance to dodge and were directly hit by the fireballs, burning into firemen. More fireballs continued to fly towards them until their bodies were burned to ashes. Everyone be careful, these humans are all fire creatures, a devourer who dodged the attack shouted loudly, and then pounced on a Guardian Warrior who rushed up to intercept him. The Guardian Warrior saw the devourer rushing towards him and did not dodge. He shouted and stabbed the devourer's lower abdomen with the military dagger in his hand. The devourer turned a blind eye to the Guardian Warrior's attack. Although the Guardian Warrior's attack was aimed at the location of his consciousness core, the physical attack of the military dagger could not hurt the devourer at all. The devourer ignored the Guardian Warrior's attack and stretched out his hands to grab the Guardian Warrior's shoulders. When he was stabbed in the abdomen by the Guardian Warrior, his hands also grabbed the Guardian Warrior's shoulders. At the moment he grabbed the Guardian Warrior, the devourer activated his devouring skill. The Guardian Warrior caught by the devourer immediately groaned, and his body, like Fang Xiaoun before, began to age. Fortunately, a Guardian Warrior who arrived nearby saw the scene and did not hesitate at all. He raised his knife and cut off the devourer's arms, preventing him from continuing to devour the Guardian Warrior's vitality. Because the Guardian Warrior delayed the devourer, the fireballs that he had dodged just now had already caught up with the devourer, chasing him from behind and instantly engulfing his entire body. Then, before he had time to get rid of the flames on his body, more fire powers piled up on his body, turning his body directly into nothingness. Similar situations continued to unfold throughout the battlefield. It only took more than a minute for the devourers present to be basically killed by the Guardian Warriors. Like number 1 and the others, these devourers were a little too confident in their own strength, perhaps because they believed too much in the suppression of their levels, and the Guardian Warriors who besieged them were basically awakened by the fire system, just enough to restrain them. So, in this battle, the Devourer suffered the first disastrous defeat since arriving on this planet, but this will definitely not be the last time. Wang Feng was fighting with number 7 at this time. When the battle just started, number 5 and number 7 came up to attack Wang Feng together, but now number 5 has died under Wang Feng's apocalypse, and even his body was collected by Wang Feng in the apocalypse space and turned into apocalypse points. And the reason why number 7 can hold on until now is not because Wang Feng is unable to kill him, but because of apocalypse. Just now, when Wang Feng was about to kill number 7, Apocalypse suddenly told Wang Feng that they could subdue this devourer number 7 and let this devourer serve Wang Feng and become a member of the Hope Base. Wang Feng hesitated for this suggestion, but for Wang Feng, having a devourer who can join his side is of course very beneficial to him. At least, he can get the information of other devourers through this devourer, and maybe he can use this devourer to directly break into their base camp. Apocalypse. What do you need to attract this devourer to subdue him? Wang Feng talked to Apocalypse in his heart while fighting with number 7. Life core, Tiankai said, as long as you are willing to give him some life cores, this devourer will definitely be willing to surrender and join you. As a former devourer, Tiankai certainly knew what to use to attract devourers. Life core, Wang Feng asked doubtfully. Of course, he knew that there was a life core in his body, but wasn't that life core completely fused with him now? Could it be separated? Moreover, would giving the life core to this devourer have any impact on his own strength? Tiankai. The life core has been completely fused with me, can it still be given to this devourer? Wang Feng asked. Also, would giving this life core to this devourer have any impact on me? Of course, and it's not that all the life cores are given to this devourer, just a little bit is enough for this devourer. Tiankai explained. The devourer, a creature, is under the complete control of the mother nest since it was created, but once he is given a little life core, he can get rid of the control of the mother nest and develop independent consciousness. This is very attractive to the devourer, and he will definitely agree. As for the impact on you, there must be some. However, I think compared with the loss, conquering this devourer will definitely do more good than harm to you. Moreover, the life core you lost will, after a period of time, after that, it can slowly recover on its own, which means there is no loss. Then subdue him. Wang Feng thought for a while and was about to agree, but immediately he thought of another question. Apocalypse. After we subdue this devourer, how can we guarantee his loyalty? If he gets the life core, what will happen to him? After gaining independent consciousness, there is nothing we can do if we still return to the devourer, or simply hide ourselves, right? Impossible, Tiankai said with certainty. Once he gains independent consciousness and gets rid of the control of the brood, this devourer will want to kill the brood more than you. It is impossible to let him go back. As for hiding, it is even more impossible. If devourer is not destroyed, he will have no hiding place on this planet, and he will be found by devourer sooner or later. So, as long as you get him out of the control of the brood, he will definitely help you with all his strength to fight against the brood. He will even be the one who wants the brood to die the most. Okay. Let's do it. After hearing Tiankai's words, Wang Feng finally decided to subdue the devourer number 7. However, Wang Feng was a little hesitant. After all, this number 7 had just swallowed Fang Xiaoun in front of them. Although now Wang Feng does not feel guilty about Fang Xiaoun's death. Fang Xiaoun brought all this on his own. However, after all, those Zhao Ying's followers are still watching, and it seems a bit uncomfortable for him to subdue number 7 like this. Great fit. But looking around him, he saw that all the other devourers had been killed. Even the devourers on the periphery, after seeing the fighting situation here, chose to escape and did not continue to fight with them, although they had been killed before. Some guardian warriors rushed towards the devourers on the periphery, but a dozen of them were still run away by the devourers. That's him. Apocalypse. How to subdue him? Seeing the scene around him, Wang Feng asked helplessly. He had no time to care about the feelings of Zhao Ying's followers now. He should subdue this devourer first. I'll communicate with him. After he stops, don't continue attacking, Tiankai said. Okay. I understand. Wang Feng slowed down his attack speed. Apocalypse began to activate the life wave to communicate with the devourer number 7. In fact, Wang Feng can also directly talk to this number 7, but there are other people around now, and the less people know about the core of life, the better. If when the news that Wang Feng possesses a life core spreads, I am afraid that all the devourers who have descended on this planet will desperately try their best to kill Wang Feng. In this case, it will definitely not be a good thing for Wang Feng and the Hope Base. Tian uses life waves to communicate with this devourer. Regardless of success or failure, the news of the life core will not be spread. It is undoubtedly the most effective way to communicate with the devourer. Safe way. After Tiankai sent out the life wave, No 7's eyes lit up, and he immediately stopped attacking. Wang Feng also stopped his movements at this moment, and the two stood face to face, staring at each other. The Guardian warriors who had finished the battle looked at each other, but did not take action, because Wang Feng did not issue an order, so they just formed a circle to surround Devourer number 7 to prevent him from escaping, but they did not. There was no attack on him. As the Devourers on the periphery fled, the Guardian warriors who went to kill the Devourers on the periphery also returned to the central square, joining the ranks of other Guardian warriors, and together they surrounded number 7 and Wang Feng in the center. After a few minutes of communication, Devourer 7 took a deep breath, looked at Wang Feng and said, "You must fulfill your promise first, and then I can promise you and join your camp." Hearing No 7's words, everyone around him was stunned. What is going on? Is this devourer going to surrender? The middle-aged man holding Zhao Ying's body, after hearing these words, his eyes filled with murderous intent. He handed Zhao Ying in his hand to a person behind him, and then walked towards Wang Feng and number 7, who were still confronting each other in the middle. Come. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 436. I can fulfill my promise first. Wang Feng nodded and said, "This is not a problem, but I have another request, that is, you can no longer feed on humans in the future. Only if you agree to this can I accept you." "That's no problem," number 7 nodded and said, "as long as it is a living thing, I can use it as food, and it doesn't have to be a human being. However, when someone actively provokes me, I do not promise that I will not fight back." After saying this, number 7 looked specifically at the middle-aged man who was walking towards him. Wang Feng also looked at the middle-aged man. He frowned and walked towards the middle-aged man. "You want to kill him?" After the middle-aged man and Wang Feng approached, Wang Feng looked at the middle-aged man and asked. "No. I don't have the strength." The middle-aged man shook his head and said, "But if you can kill him, you will gain our gratitude. I heard just now that he seems to be surrendering." "That's right. Moreover, I will accept his surrender." Wang Feng nodded and said, "Having a devourer join us will help us understand the devourer better. They are strange enemies. We don't know them well. The more, the better our chances of winning." "But he just killed someone," the middle-aged man looked at Wang Feng and said. "That's right, he just killed someone. I can see clearly that the method was quite cruel." Wang Feng nodded, "because they regard humans as food. If they are not eliminated, there will be more people like Fang Xiaoun. They will die in their hands, so we must destroy them all." But, at this point, Wang Feng looked back at Devourer number 7 and continued, "If he can stop treating humans as food and give us some information we don't know, help us to kill those Devourer, then, why don't I accept his surrender?" "Are you sure he won't betray?" the middle-aged man looked at Wang Feng and asked. "No," Wang Feng shook his head, "living in this apocalyptic world, is there anything that you are sure of? At least, I can only confirm that one day, I will die. Otherwise, I am not sure of anything else." "Okay. I hope you did the right thing." After hearing Wang Feng's words, the middle-aged man knew that he had no way to convince Wang Feng to kill number 7, so he looked at Wang Feng and said solemnly, "My name is He Zihao. I hope we can meet again." and by that time, I hope you have the strength to annihilate these alien invaders. My name is Wang Feng. Regarding your expectations, I can only say that I will try my best. I hope to meet you again. I also hope that by that time, we will all be alive and will not become enemies. Wang Feng nodded, looked at He Zihao and said, goodbye. Live well. Wang Feng did not invite He Zihao and the more than 3,000 people behind him to join the Hope Base. Because of the deaths of Fang Xiaoyun and Zhao Ying, Wang Feng knew that in their hearts, these people were likely to have negative thoughts about the Hope Base and themselves. With great dissatisfaction and even hatred, Wang Feng did not dare to bring these people back to the Hope Base. He could not bring any hidden dangers to the Hope Base. Although Wang Feng admires the character of these people, when Fang Xiaoyun was drained of life energy by number 7, and when Zhao Ying died in Wang Feng's hands, it was destined that these men would not become part of the Hope Base members, and they would never join the Hope Base, even though Zhao Ying had told them before he died that they no longer owed each other. Goodbye. Live well. He Zihao nodded to Wang Feng, then turned back to his team, picked up the dead Zhao Ying, held him in his arms, and then walked away. He strode towards the outside of the city. The direction he was heading towards was Lemon County, where Zhao Ying took them to hide before. Looking at He Zihao's back, Wang Feng sighed. This He Zihao was a bloody man. However, because of Fang Xiaoyun's wrong decision, Wang Feng was unable to accept him and could only watch him leave like this. He Zihao actually knew this in his heart, so he didn't ask to join the Hope Base. Lao Lu. Lao Meng. I'll leave the matter here to you. I'll take this guy with me to complete an agreement. Wang Feng looked at Lu Feng and Meng Fei and said, how to deal with these people is up to you. That's fine, but I prefer to let Lao Meng handle these guys. When Lu Feng heard Wang Feng's words, he couldn't help but feel a little depressed. He knew that what Wang Feng meant was that he was afraid that he would kill all these guys who acted according to the circumstances and were afraid of death. However, thinking about it carefully, it seemed that he still had it is really possible. At least, Lu Feng will never give these guys a good look. The most likely thing is that he will drive away all these survivors and let them fend for themselves. On the other hand, Lu Feng admired He Zihao and the more than 3,000 Zhao Ying followers. However, he also understood that these people would not be accepted by the Hope Base, so he did not speak just now. Come with me. Wang Feng looked at number 7 and the surrounding environment. After saying this to Chi Hao, he led him towards a building. At this time, Apocalypse has begun to extract the life core from Wang Feng's body and start to create a special potion to allow Wang Feng to fulfill his promise. Number 7 did not refuse, but followed Wang Feng expectantly. What Tian Kai just told him was a great temptation for him, the core of life. Does this human being really have a life core? In fact, number 7 also knows that Wang Feng is fully capable of killing him. Now that the other party has not killed him, he has surrendered and promised to provide his life core to him first, so that he can escape from the control of the brood and become a truly free devourer. Then the other party must not be deceiving himself. In particular, number 7 also vaguely felt the existence of the core of life in Wang Feng. Thinking that he might become a truly independent life form, number 7 couldn't help but feel a little excited, and his face was full of expectations. Followed closely behind Wang Feng, and walked towards the building. Seeing Wang Feng and number 7 preparing to leave, the guardian soldiers surrounding them automatically gave way to a path. They watched Wang Feng and number 7 slowly walk in front of them and move towards the building. Lao Meng. What are you talking about? What is Madman doing? Why did he suddenly think of recruiting a devourer? And the devourer said before that if Madman fulfills his promise first, he will join us. What is Madman's promise? Do we have anything that can attract the devourer? Looking at Wang Feng's back, Lu Feng asked a little strangely. Haha. I'm not going to do anything that a lunatic does. It's too taxing on my brain, And the most important thing is that it's almost impossible to guess correctly. Meng Fei shook his head and chuckled. Rather than guessing how he would win over the devourer, it would be better to think about how to deal with these survivors. These guys. Lu Feng looked at the survivors with disdain and said contemptuously, "Old Meng, a smart person like you couldn't have imagined that a lunatic would entrust this matter to you and specifically told us that this isn't it obvious that you are responsible for this matter? I want you to take these guys into our Hope Base." Lu Feng did not hide his disgust for the survivors of Cat City. These people were able to survive until now, undoubtedly because of the protection of Zhao Ying and Fang Xiaoun. However, when these two people encountered trouble, they chose Mingzhi protects himself. Although this situation is very common and normal in the apocalypse, Lu Feng, who has been in the Hope Base for a long time, now looks down on them. It's funny to say, if it were in the past, these people's behavior should be similar to Lu Feng. Lu Feng was like this in the past. He didn't care about himself, but he stayed with Wang Feng and Duan Lei. After such a long time, Lu Feng's mind had changed. Although he refused to admit it, his tone had confirmed this. "Actually, I think so too, but I just want to confirm with you." Meng Fei nodded, then looked at the surrounding guardian warriors, and said loudly, "Brothers, start working, clean up the surroundings, and then clean up the surrounding area. Gather the survivors, including those still hiding in those buildings, and call them all. Those who are willing to go to the Hope Base will be accepted directly. Those who are unwilling to join, let them go wherever they go. Lao Lu, why don't you make another hard trip? Let the troops behind you speed up and come here to pick up the survivors. Moreover, I think there seems to be a lot of useful things in this base." After issuing the order, Meng Fei looked at Lu Feng again and said, "Okay. I'm just a hard worker." Lu Feng shook his head and said with a depressed look on his face, "Ha ha ha ha. That's right. Who told you to call you Lao Lu? Aren't you supposed to work hard?" Meng Fei laughed. "Absorb this. Then you should be able to have independent consciousness and no longer be controlled by the brood." After Wang Feng brought Devourer number 7 to the building, he did not go looking for a room. He was in the lobby of the building. Within a short time, the potion that Apocalypse had created and contained a trace of life core was thrown to Devourer number 7. Number 7 took the potion and opened the lid. Then, a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. He immediately put the bottle of potion to his mouth, raised his head, drank the entire bottle of potion, and then crossed his legs. "Sit down and start absorbing the life core in the potion." Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 437. Looking at number 7 who was beginning to absorb the potion right in front of him, Wang Feng nodded secretly. It seemed that Tiankai was right. The attraction of the life core to these devourers was indeed not ordinary. After confirming the potion in his hand, after containing the life core, number 7 no longer had any scruples at all, and began to absorb the life core in front of him, seemingly no longer guarding himself. You know, just because number 7 is sitting in this position, if Wang Feng wants to kill him, he can do it with just a single blow without any effort at all. Perhaps, this is also how number 7 is using this method to prove to himself. He really wants to join the humans and fight with them against the Devourer. Apocalypse. Wang Feng looked at number 7 absorbing the life core and asked in his heart, "Since we can use the life core to conquer the Devourer, then we go directly to the commander of the Devourer's vanguard and use the life core to conquer him. Can't you just take it over?" The idea is good, but there is no way to implement it. Tiankai directly nipped Wang Feng's idea in the bud. First of all, the higher the Devourer's energy level, the greater the control the brood has over him. I think the more difficult it is to get rid of the mother nest. To put it bluntly, the more life cores are needed. This number 7 is just a predator. It doesn't take many life cores to help him awaken his autonomous consciousness. But if he is an elite level devourer, he will need a lot more life cores. Not to mention, This vanguard is it may be led by a commander-level devourer. If you want to help a commander-level devourer escape from the nest, you have to dedicate at least 1/3 of your life cores. If the life core is only separated a little bit, no more than 1/10, it will slowly recover. Once it exceeds this number, the loss will be permanent. Are you sure you want to conquer a commander-level devourer? When Wang Feng heard Tiankai's words, he couldn't help but give up his idea. Forget it. I think this number 7 is pretty good. One of them is enough. Since there were very few life cores allocated to number 7, and number 7 itself was a devourer, his absorption process was completed quickly. After fusing those life cores with his own consciousness core, number 7 opened his eyes, with a happy face. He then stood up, looked at Wang Feng, nodded gratefully and said, "Thank you, human being. It can be said that you have allowed me to be reborn and allow me to have a completely independent life. This is quite difficult for us devourers. Almost no devourers can achieve this. Opportunities, in my memory, there seems to be only one of us, the Devourer clan, who has escaped from the control of the brood since the day it was born, and its whereabouts are still unknown. Now, I have become the second one. Don't worry, I will help you with all my strength to defeat those devourers. And I very much hope that you can kill the mother nest when it comes. Only in this way can I truly to escape forever from the shadow of the brood. However, I only have a cooperative relationship with you. You are not my boss, and I am not your subordinate. I need to declare this in advance. If I still completely obey your orders after getting rid of the control of the brood, then to me, there's basically no difference, so keep that in mind." Of course, Wang Feng nodded and said, "We are just a cooperative relationship. When the devourer thing is over, you can leave at any time. I will not place any restrictions on you, but you must also remember what you promised me. That is, you must never feed on humans again, otherwise, I will kill you no matter what the reason is. What if a human threatens my existence? For example, if a human wants to kill me, can't I resist?" Number 7 frowned and said, "Of course not. I'm just saying, don't hunt and kill humans because of hunger. If someone attacks you, of course you can resist. It won't matter if you kill him. I will inform my subordinates. At least, in the future, I hope that everyone in the base human beings will not take the initiative to be enemies with you, and I will try my best to conceal your identity," Wang Feng explained. "That's no problem. I can do it. In the words of you humans, I won't offend others unless they offend me." "Right," number 7 smiled and was free. Number 7 seemed very happy at this time. "Okay. First introduce to me the situation of the vanguard troops who came to our planet this time." Wang Feng turned around and looked outside, and found that the soldiers of the Guardian Legion were busy, so he walked towards a circle of sofas in the hall and sat down on them no matter how thick the dust was on the sofa. Number 7 also followed, sat on a sofa to the right of Wang Feng, and then said, "The total number of vanguard troops we came to this planet this time is 48,000, of which 45,000 are predators, 2 commanders, and the others are all elite devourers. Predators are at my level." After talking about the strength of the devourers, number 7 suddenly remembered that Wang Feng probably didn't know the class divisions among the devourers, so he wanted to explain it to Wang Feng first, but unexpectedly Wang Feng had already learned about the structure and composition of devourer from Tiankai, but Wang Feng did not interrupt number 7, but listened quietly there. One is that Wang Feng doesn't want number 7 to know too much, and the other is that Wang Feng wants to use No 7's words to verify whether what Tianqi said before is correct. It's not that Wang Feng doesn't believe in Tianqi, but Wang Feng didn't know that Apocalypse was actually the devourer. He thought that Apocalypse's understanding of the devourer was just hearsay and should not be as detailed as the devourer himself. However, after number 7 carefully explained the structure of devourer's members, Wang Feng discovered that what Apocalypse said before was exactly the same as what number 7 said. Number 7 didn't notice Wang Feng's expression, and just kept talking to himself. After arriving on this planet, we found that there is something wrong with this planet. You must also know that your planet, before arriving, it was attacked by unknown creatures, causing a large number of creatures on your planet to mutate. This is actually very similar to the method used by us devourers. After we land on a planet, we will also use this method to spread the alienated virus on the planet and infect most of the organisms on the planet. This will help us control these creatures. But this time it was not us who launched the attack, so our commander was very strange. He guessed that there might be another devourer race that came to this planet one step ahead of us and launched an attack. Therefore, our commander immediately ordered, the whole army disperses and attacks, and the entire planet is in our hands as quickly as possible. Also, we need to find the same kind of devourer race as soon as possible to verify our conjecture. However, until now, we still have not found any trace of devourers who do not belong to our race. Where are your two commanders now? Do you have a base camp on this planet? Wang Feng asked. There is a base camp, and on this continent, there is a commander who is sitting in the base camp. Another commander led a team to go out to find the other devourer race. I don't know where he is now, number 7 said, because you are on the edge of the continent, there is not even an elite here except for predators like us. As for other places, they are also divided into different sizes. Large places will be led by elites, while small places will only have about 100 predators. Our task is to gather all the zombies first, and then deal with those who don't. Infected humans, well. That is, people like you, we need to lock you all up. In addition to serving as our food to supplement our daily consumption, we also need to find traces of other devourers in your mouths. Could it be? Other than devourer, other creatures can't create this kind of biochemical virus, Wang Feng asked strangely, because number 7 seemed to be very sure that the man behind the disaster on their planet was devourer. However, Tiankai also vowed before that the person who caused all this was not only not the devourer, but also possibly the devourer's enemy. It should be impossible. This kind of biochemical virus is actually a liquid secreted by our devourer's nest. It is not manufactured or synthesized. Therefore, basically only devourers will have it, and we also carefully I studied those mutant creatures, the kind of mutants you call zombies. Number 7 shook his head and said, we found that this kind of mutant must have become like this because they absorbed our kind of biochemical virus. It is unlikely to be for other reasons. We can even control them. In the body, some substances are found that are very similar to the secretions of the mother's nest. It has been more than a year since this happened on our planet. It has been almost a year and a half since the arrival of the world-destroying heavenly fire. During this year and a half, you are still the first person we humans have discovered. The devourer Wang Feng looked at number 7 and said, so, I am going to kill all of you intruders first, and then I will consider the hidden mastermind. What do you think? Wait, devourer number 7 seemed to suddenly notice a word used by Wang Feng, world-destroying sky-fire? You mean, these biochemical viruses were attacks launched from outside the planet and infected this planet? Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 438. Wang Feng was also stunned when he heard what number 7 said, and then he recounted the situation when the sky fire descended. Although it has been a year and a half since the sky fire descended, Wang Feng still spoke of the sky fire descending as if it happened yesterday. Everything was vivid in his mind. I believe that anyone who has experienced that scene will never forget that scene in his life. After listening to Wang Feng's narration, number 7 frowned, because this method was completely unlike what the devourer did. It was simply a huge waste, but those biochemical viruses were no different from the secretions of the devourer's mother nest. What was going on? Even number 7, the devourer, was completely unsure. Looking at No 7's thoughtful look, Wang Feng shook his head and said, "Forget it. Put this aside for now. The most important thing now is to kill all of your vanguard troops first. Can you remember the distribution of your people?" "Of course, although it is not very detailed, I basically know all the approximate places." "Do you want to take over the cities outside first, or go directly to the headquarters?" Number 7 looked at Wang Feng and asked. "What do you think is the best way?" Wang Feng asked. "I think." Number 7 hesitated for a moment, then said, "I think you should go directly to the headquarters. There is only one commander guarding the headquarters now, and most of the elite devourers have been scattered to your planet. With your ability and your strange weapon, there should be a great chance to kill the commander. As for the small waves of devourers in other places, your army should be able to deal with them. Their combined attack technique is very powerful and is completely designed for us devourers. I really don't understand how you know that we are afraid of the fire of life. From the battle just now, I almost thought that you had fought with devourers countless times." Wang Feng smiled slightly, but did not explain. Apocalypse is his biggest secret, so naturally he couldn't let this devourer know. After hearing what Number 7 said, Wang Feng also began to think in his heart. What Number 7 said really made sense, and Wang Feng was very tempted. This time, there were two commanders of the devourer. According to the level of the devourer, the commanders should be powerful creatures of level 7 or 8. Now, one commander led a team to find the non-existent devourer. There was only one commander left in their base camp. This was indeed an opportunity. Especially because they had just arrived on this planet not long ago, so in the early stage, they sent a large number of devourers to conquer this planet, and the base camp was very empty, because they could not imagine that there were humans on this planet who could destroy their small team so quickly, and these humans actually had life cores. Using the life core to subdue a devourer was something that the commander of the base camp could not imagine anyway, so now if Wang Feng let Number 7 take him back to the base camp and wait for an opportunity to sneak attack the commander, it seemed to be a very tempting idea. Especially after the battle just now, the Guardian Corps has proved their strength. In the battle just now, no Guardian warrior died. Only a few defensive Guardian warriors, because they stepped forward to stop the devourer, were sucked of some life energy during contact with the devourer, and looked a little older. However, the life energy lost in these Guardian warriors can be slowly compensated over time, as long as the loss of life energy is not particularly large, such as Fang Xiaoun, who was almost sucked dry, so there is no way to save it, even if Wang Feng gave an awakening potion. The devourer swallowing is very unique, and it is completely different from Wang Feng's apocalypse's swallowing. The devourer swallowing swallows the vitality of the swallowed creature together, unlike apocalypse, which only swallows life energy and cannot absorb vitality. This is why Fang Xiaoun, who was swallowed by the devourer, became so old, while apocalypse's swallowing did not have any effect on the appearance of the creature, and apocalypse must swallow the creature's life energy after it has lost its vitality. In comparison, the devouring of the devourer is more like a barbaric plunder, which can destroy the vitality of the devoured, while the apocalypse is more gentle. When the creature has not lost its vitality, the apocalypse will not devour its life energy. Therefore, those Guardian warriors whose vitality was devoured by the devourer are actually equivalent to permanent trauma. Even if the life energy in the body can be restored, the lost vitality cannot be restored. In other words, their current old age is really old and can never be restored. Even the devourer itself has no way to return the vitality it has devoured to the body of this creature. But at least these Guardian warriors are still alive. Losing a few years or more than 10 years of life does not seem to be a terrible thing for humans living in this doomsday, because you don't know whether you can survive for another year, and no one dares to be sure whether you can still live in this world tomorrow night. Moreover, this loss of vitality seems to have little impact on their combat power. It just makes them look anxious. Anyway, it is the end of the world, and there is no appearance association left at all, and the guardian warriors, most of them were men, and perhaps they would look more mature if they were older. At least, Wang Feng did not see any frustrated expressions on the faces of the guardian warriors whose vitality was devoured by the devourer. Because they are all real soldiers. For soldiers on the battlefield, as long as I am still alive, it is luck and there is nothing to complain about. Old Meng. Come here. Wang Feng thought for a while and felt that No 7's suggestion was feasible, so he took out his walkie-talkie and called Meng Fei in. Then, Wang Feng told Meng Fei about No 7's suggestion and own thoughts. Meng Fei was silent for a long time, thinking constantly in his mind, and finally looked at Wang Feng and nodded. I think it is indeed good, but in this case, it seems that you will be in great danger. A few of the devourers just ran away. If they pass the news back to their headquarters, or even run back to the headquarters themselves, what will happen to you? If you show up at their headquarters again, you will be trapped. That's right. Hearing Meng Fei's words, number 7 also nodded and said, so, we must be fast. Grab time with those guys, and follow the devourer's way of doing things. When an accident happens here, those failed devourers will those who do not return to the headquarters directly, but must first gather with other devourers nearby. Because at the devourer headquarters, except for the predators who are allowed to stay there and are responsible for guarding, other predators cannot go back easily. Even if they want to send back the news, they need at least elite-level devourers. Only those who have the right to enter and exit the headquarters. Besides, you have only killed less than 100 predators in total. Such a small number of casualties is not enough to alert the headquarters. It is very likely that they will go to the nearby area to find reinforcements and then come back again. Moreover, those who come to take revenge this time are likely to have elite-level devourers. In addition, they will be prepared for your previous attacks this time. Therefore, the next battle may not be so easy for you. But this is also the only chance, because the devourers who come again will definitely leave at least one elite devourer who will not come close to here, but will watch your battle from a distance. If the devourers suffer a big loss again, or even if the entire army is wiped out, the elite devourer will directly withdraw and go to the headquarters to request reinforcements. At that time, the headquarters will start to be on guard against humans. It will be difficult to infiltrate, so now should be the only chance to kill the commander, and we have to gain time. Now that you have said that there are no other devourers on this planet, if what you said is true, then the commander who is searching for traces of his kind outside may return to the headquarters soon. Once the two commanders gather together, I'm afraid even if you can sneak in, you will definitely not be a match for those two commanders. These two commanders are the lowest level commanders, but they also have the strength of 7th level creatures. You are only a 5th level creature now. In the case of a sneak attack, there is still some hope to deal with one commander. If the two of them work together. At this point, number 7 shook his head. Meng Fei looked at Wang Feng and then at number 7, with an inquiring look in his eyes. Wang Feng knew what Meng Fei wanted to know, so he nodded and said, he can be believed, although he won't be like other people in our base. He can be regarded as one of us, but when it comes to dealing with the devourers, he will want to deal with them as quickly as possible than we do. Meng Fei nodded. Although Wang Feng did not explain the reason, as long as he knew that the devourer could be trusted for the time being, he said, madman. If this guy is worthy of trust, then, I think, his suggestions can be used as a reference. After all, he is the devourer, and he will definitely know better than us about the devourer's weaknesses and habits. If he says now is the best time to kill the commander, then we should seize this opportunity. However, even if the devourer headquarters currently only has one commander-level devourer in charge, it is probably not that easy to deal with, and there is still a certain degree of danger. Therefore, you should consider this yourself. I can only tell you one thing, you just go if you want. As for those escaped devourers who will seek reinforcements to retaliate, just leave it to me. We will wait for them here and try to delay them for you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 439. After listening to Meng Fei's suggestion, Wang Feng was silent for a moment. After thinking for a while, he finally made a decision. He looked at number 7, then at Meng Fei, and finally said, "Okay. I'll leave this to you. Be careful, number 7 and I will go to their headquarters. Also, number 7, please come and mark the distribution of your devourers on the map for us." Okay, regarding this, number 7 did not hesitate at all. If the devourer who has gained independent consciousness wants to maintain his own consciousness and have absolute freedom, he must find a way to stay away from the devourer's nest. The most effective method is kill the brood directly, but he is just a low-level predator and has no ability to kill the brood. Even an elite devourer can easily kill him. Therefore, if you want to be completely free, number 7 must rely on the power of the creatures on this planet, and Wang Feng and the others are the best choice at the moment. At least, in the battle just now, the Guardian Warriors showed with its powerful combat power, although it failed to annihilate all the devourers, it did not lose any personnel and killed more than 80 devourers. From the perspective of number 7, this is already quite terrifying. At least, these humans have the strength to kill the devourer. Now coupled with the traitor himself, number 7 sees a glimmer of hope. Of course, he is fully cooperating now. Wang Feng and the others. Arriving in the middle of the hurricane, Wang Feng called up the electronic map. Under No 7's explanation, he kept marking numbers on the map. Wang Feng's marks were very detailed. In each location, there were signs of the devourer. The approximate number, whether there are elite devourers, and the number of elite devourers are all recorded on the map. Moreover, Wang Feng also selected several devourers gathering places on the road from Cat City to the devourer base camp. He planned to stop by to investigate when heading to the devourer base camp. If there was a chance, Wang Feng would do it. Feng didn't mind taking down some devourers. After marking the map, Wang Feng selected a few devourers gathering places on the map, looked at number 7, and then said, "Number 7, remember these places, and take them with you when you go to your base camp. I stopped by to take a look. They shouldn't know that you have escaped the control of the brood and become a free devourer, right? After every devourer is created, a mark is planted in his life core by the mother's nest. When I fused the life core, I had already eliminated that mark. At this moment, the brood already knows about my situation, but now he is far away from here and has no ability to solve this matter. Even if he wants to notify other devourers on this planet, it is impossible to do it now. Based on the distance, it will be at least half a year before he can remotely contact the 2 commanders here to tell me about my matter. Tell them, so now my identity will not be exposed, I can take you into any devourer gathering place. If you take me into the headquarters, will there be any trouble?" Wang Feng felt relieved when he heard this. However, he then thought of another question. Just now, number 7 said that there were no predators at the headquarters. To be able to enter and exit at will, one must be a devourer above the elite level. However, Wang Feng had already asked Tiankai just now. If he wanted to recruit the devourer elite, he would have to pay a lot of life cores, at least, far more than 1/10. In other words, it would bring permanence to the life cores and be unable to do so. Wang Feng couldn't accept the damage caused by recovery. It will be a little bit, but at least you can go in. After you go in, you are going to assassinate the commander-in-chief, so no matter what happens, my identity will be exposed, so it doesn't matter. Number 7 shrugged his shoulders and said, it seems that after getting rid of the control of the brood and gaining independent consciousness, Number 7 became more and more fond of imitating human actions. Okay. As long as you can get in, Wang Feng is not worried about No 7's identity being revealed. Anyway, he wants him to take him to the commander of the Devourer and wait for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. With Apocalypse as a big killer, Wang Feng believed that as long as he could get close to the Devourer commander and pierce Apocalypse into the core of his consciousness, he would definitely be dead. Actually, there is a more sure way. Number 7 hesitated and said hesitantly. What method? Wang Feng was stunned and then asked. That's right, we can actually go here first. Number 7 pointed at a location on the map and said. Wang Feng looked along No 7's finger and found that it was a city between Cat City and the Devourer headquarters. There were about 300 Devourers and 5 Devourer elites inside. What are you doing here? Wang Feng looked at Number 7 and asked a little strangely, but he found that Number 7 seemed a little embarrassed to say the same thing and seemed very hesitant. If you have anything to say, just say it and I'll see what method you can use, Wang Feng asked again. I am a Devourer. Among the Devourers, my status is not high. I am just a little better than those slaves. Moreover, among the Devourers, the ones with the highest death rate are predators like us. Because we are the main force in the battle, so in some cases, we are not even as safe as those slaves. Number 7 said with some concern. Okay. Number 7. Can you just say it? Wang Feng was a little angry. When was it? Does Number 7 still have the time to introduce to him the status of himself and the slaves of Devourer? Okay. Then I'll say it. Number 7 gritted his teeth and then said, although our Devourers, after being created, our status is basically fixed and there will be no change. In other words, if I am still under the control of the brood, I will always be just a predator, and nothing will change until the day I die. But now that I have escaped the control of the brood, I have the opportunity to upgrade. As long as I devour the consciousness cores of 2 devouring elites, I can grow into a devouring elite. In that case, I will take you to the commander with ease, and no devourer will come to stop me. There are 5 elites here. If you devour them all, will you become more powerful? Become a commander? Wang Feng was stunned for a moment, then looked at the map and asked thoughtfully. That's impossible. Number 7 shook his head directly and said, even if I devour all the devourer elites who have descended on this planet, it is impossible to grow to the commander level, unless, what I devour is the commander's consciousness core. Do we need 2 commanders to devour them all? Wang Feng asked again. 2 is a bit few, but it's not without a chance. Number 7 thought for a while and said, then looked at Wang Feng with a hopeful look on his face and asked, you will let me devour the core of the commander's consciousness and train me to become the commander-in-chief? That doesn't seem to do you any good, does it? It seems that your research on human beings is not thorough enough. Wang Feng shook his head and smiled. Now we are allies, at least before we destroy the Devourer's brood, we are on the same front. As your strength increases, for me of course there are benefits. If everything goes well, we can finally kill the brood. According to our agreement, you can go wherever you like. As long as you don't harm humans, what you do has nothing to do with us. So, as your strength increases, for us, naturally, the higher the better. Aren't you afraid? My strength has increased to a certain level. After killing the brood, will I become your enemy? After hearing Wang Feng's words, Number 7 asked in confusion. Others were afraid of him. If his allies don't believe in him, it would be better for him to be Number 7, who constantly reminds Wang Feng of the disadvantages of betraying him. If we can kill the mother's nest, then it won't be difficult to kill you later, right? Can you evolve to be more powerful than the mother's nest? Wang Feng said disdainfully. Number 7 was speechless by Wang Feng's words. Yes, no matter how awesome he is, there is no way he can surpass the mother's nest. After all, he is the creation of the mother's nest. Although he can rely on swallowing, you can grow up with your own kind, but there is a limit. It is estimated that if you can reach the level of brood guard, you are already quite awesome. Going higher is simply impossible. If Wang Feng really kills all the broods, it really won't be difficult to deal with him again. Thinking of this, number 7 shook his head. If Wang Feng wanted to kill him, he wouldn't have said this. Moreover, after gaining independent consciousness, number 7 somehow became somewhat dependent on these humans. Maybe it was because the devourer was originally a social creature, but suddenly gained freedom, it actually became a little worried about gains and losses. If he had never gained freedom, perhaps number 7 would not be so eager for this feeling. Now that he had gained it, he did not want to lose this feeling no matter what. Just like a person, if he has been poor all his life, working hard to move bricks every day, and can only make a living, he can also find some fun in his life, but if you suddenly make him rich overnight, let him, he would definitely not be able to accept living a rich life and then letting him go back to his previous days. Now number 7 is like a nouveau riche. After experiencing the feeling of freedom, number 7 is absolutely unwilling to lose this feeling. He looked at Wang Feng and asked, "Are you really willing to help me improve my strength?" Wang Feng did not answer immediately, but pointed to the city that number 7 mentioned just now, and said calmly, "We will set off immediately. When we get here, won't you know?" Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 440. Let's go now. Number 7 was stunned, but Meng Fei did not show any strange look. He knew Wang Feng's vigorous and decisive character very well, especially now that they had to race against time with the devourer, so there was no need to delay. Since Wang Feng had chosen to cooperate with number 7 and help him improve his strength, it was no big deal. Meng Fei believed that since Wang Feng was willing to do this, it meant that he had a certain degree of confidence and could control the devourer number 7. At least, when he turned against them, Wang Feng would definitely have a way to kill him. In fact, Wang Feng believed in number 7 so much because of Tiankai's explanation. According to Tiankai, number 7 had now escaped the control of the mother nest and had become a free devourer, which was equivalent to betraying the mother nest. If he was caught by the mother nest, he would definitely die more miserably than Wang Feng and the others. Therefore, number 7 wanted to kill the mother nest even more than Wang Feng and the others. "Old man," Wang Feng looked at Meng Fei and said. Now Lu Feng had gone back to find the follow-up troops of the Hope Base, so if there was anything, Wang Feng could only tell Meng Fei, "Number 7 and I will go to the Devourer headquarters. This is left to you. You have a general understanding of the distribution of Devourers on the map. You can discuss how to deal with it. In addition, the distribution of these Devourers may not always remain unchanged, so you should be as careful as possible and expand the scope of investigation as much as possible. If it doesn't work, return to the Hope Base and wait for me to come back. In addition, tell Lazy Eye to strengthen the defense of the Hope Base. I estimate that it won't be long before these Devourers will find our Hope Base." "You don't have to worry too much about this," number 7 interrupted and said, "I saw the location of your Hope Base. It's a bit remote and it's not a big city, so it won't attract their attention for the time being. Although we have tens of thousands of Devourers coming to this planet, your planet is not small, so basically only some big cities will have Devourers coming. Like here, it's because there are 2 cities next to each other, and there is also a first-tier city, so we sent more than 100 Devourers here. These 100 of us are responsible for this entire large area. Your country is large in area and has a large population, so our commander will choose to set up the headquarters in your country, but this does not mean that all Devourers will stay in your country. Now, the number of Devourers staying in your country's territory will not exceed 15,000. The other Devourers have long been scattered to your country. Went to the planet. There should be about 5,000 Devourers left at the headquarters, and the rest are about 100, so this should be a good time for you to reduce the number of devourers. If your raid is successful and you really kill the commander, the other commander will shrink the troops and gather all the devourers together. So, we have to hide our whereabouts as much as possible during this raid and not expose our position. At least, we can't kill all the way from here as you just imagined. That would be too obvious. When the surviving devourers gather together, it will be easy for them to find here from our killing route. Once they notice this place, your hope base will be exposed. At that time, if the commander is bolder, mobilize all the devourer armies to attack your base together. Even if you can resist their attack, you will probably suffer heavy losses. It is not worth the loss. After all, they are just the vanguard. The subsequent devourer armies are much stronger than them. Even if the commander is timid and does not attack, but hides and waits for help, when the mother nest arrives here, your hope base will also become the first target of the mother nest. Do you think your base is capable of confronting the devourer army led by the mother nest head-on? After listening to No. 7's words, Wang Feng couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. What No. 7 said made sense. If he really killed his way all the way as he had imagined before, he might be discovered by the devourer and it would be easy to infer where they came from. But the problem now is that they have already wiped out a team of devourers. If those devourers find other devourers and come here again, then their hope base will also be exposed. After all, it is only 2 days away from the hope base. Meng Fei's expression changed a little at this time. He also thought about the seriousness of the matter and felt a little frustrated. If they had known this, they should have tried their best to keep all the devourers and not let any devourer escape. In that way, perhaps the time for the devourer to find the hope base would be delayed. No. 7. In this situation, what do you suggest we do? Meng Fei suddenly looked at No. 7 and asked. Among them, No. 7 was the most familiar with the devourer style of behavior. Moreover, from No. 7's words just now, Meng Fei also felt that No. 7 was really thinking about them now and should be a trustworthy ally. No. 7 thought about it, then looked down at the electronic map on the screen, pointed to 2 points around and said, those devourers who escaped should go back to these 2 places to find reinforcements. Moreover, because we were half sneak attacked by you before, and we didn't take you seriously in our hearts, we suffered a big loss. Although they shouldn't dare to bring 100 people to come to you for revenge now, but if 2 groups of people are gathered, they should come back here, so I suggest now that we don't leave yet, stay here and wait for them back. Based on the distance between the other 2 devourer teams, they should arrive here in about 3 days. Before that, let's make preparations and try to keep all the reinforcements here, and you have to promise one thing, kill that elite. At this point, No. 7 pointed at Wang Feng. Gave him a task. Elite, Wang Feng was stunned, then looked at No. 7 and asked. Among this team of devourers, there are 2 elites leading the team. Those devourers who escape will definitely go to them for support first. As for the other team, they only have 1 elite, but no matter how many there are, the elite exists, and I'm sure that at least when they come here again, they will leave an elite behind. No. 7 explained. This elite will not participate in the battle, and your mission is to kill this elite without giving him a chance to escape. Only by keeping them all here will other devourers not discover your existence in the short term. After that, we will go to the headquarters, and we can go around in a circle, pick a few small cities, and kill the devourers inside so that they can't tell where we are starting from. Then, regardless of whether the assassination of the commander is successful or not, we have to move in other directions, pick out a few devourer teams, and attract their attention so that they have no time to worry about the missing devourers here. Moreover, in this way, we can also reduce the number of devourers as much as possible. Once the number of devourers is reduced to a certain level by us, the remaining commander will probably not have the courage to look for us, but will choose other places waiting for help, so we have more time to expand outward and prepare for the arrival of the mother nest. Good idea, Meng Fei nodded, then looked at Wang Feng. I think this is a good idea, but it might be a little harder for you too. Then let's do it. Wang Feng was a little tempted at first, but now that Meng Fei also said the same thing, of course he had no objections and immediately nodded in agreement. Then let's wait first and then kill a group of devourers. Go again. After deciding on the plan, Wang Feng and the others immediately began to study the map to speculate on which direction the devourers would come from, so that Wang Feng could know where they should ambush. There should be at least 2 devourer elites coming this time, and the number of devourers should be more than 150, because it is impossible for the 2 devourer teams to come out with their entire army to reinforce them. They, after all, have their own areas of responsibility. After Wang Feng and the others roughly determined the direction of the devourers' attack, Lu Feng also brought Dai Guo and the others to Cat City. After a period of fuss, Dai Guo and Huang Hua separated into a group and led them with the supplies collected in Carter City and the survivors who were willing to go to Hope Base. They left Carter City first and prepared to return to Hope Base. Moreover, they also want to tell Duanlei what happened here and ask Duanlei to prepare for defense at Hope Base. Although number 7 said that the devourers will not search for Hope Base in the short term, however, the Hope Base is Wang Feng's home base after all, so there is nothing wrong with being careful. After Dai Guo left with his people, Huang Hua and Mars left all the second echelon of guardian warriors and soldiers of the Hope Corps in the inner city of Cat, within the defensive wall, pretending to be survivors. They did not need to participate in this event. However, let them take a look at the battle between the Guardian Legion and the Devourer, and they can also accumulate some experience and prepare for the future. Lu Feng and Meng Fei, with their Guardian Legion, ambush on the outskirts of the city, preparing to meet the Devourers. Last time they fought against the Devourers in the city center of Cat. This time, they naturally had to change location.